Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome back to another executions video, but this is going to be a bit different from my normal executions graded video. Today, we're doing what I've wanted to do since the Hero Fest started last season. We're making a video where we talk about each of the Hero Fest executions for the year season Heresy. So in this season, Heresy, we had 6 Hero Fests. And I really liked the executions in a lot of them, but I couldn't talk about them yet. I asked you guys, do you want me to do the first 3 and then do the next 3 later? Nope, y'all said wait to do all 6. So I agreed to that, and here we are. Now here's the situation we have. It's a little bit awkward. A bunch of these executions that we're going to be looking at will be for heroes that I've already done their graded videos. So their grades are already out there. So what am I going to do about those heroes? Well, here's what's going to happen. We've done the math. What we're going to do is we're going to grade their Hero Fest executions, take that grade and add it to their existing grade to get a new grade. So for Lawbringer here, for example, I've already done his executions graded video, but now I'm going to be adding his Hero Fest grade to his existing grade to get a new grade. That's what we're going to do for the majority of these heroes. However, for a few of them, it'll be a bit different. Nobushi, I've already graded her execution, her new Hero Fest execution, into her graded video, so there's no need to regrade it. We'll just leave it alone and move on. And as for Pirate, we haven't done Pirate's executions graded yet. So we'll just talk about that execution, what we like about it, and I'll give you my basic summarization of what I think of it. So, if you guys are ready, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at these Hero Fest executions. Y'all ready? I'm excited. First up is the head remover from Lawbringer. Yeah, boy. Oh, yeah, I've been waiting to talk about this one. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the obvious from a grading perspective. This is a lethality of 4. The head came off, so obviously this person is dead. For realism, though, I'm going to give it a 2. Now, here's the thing. If the inside of the axe head is sharp enough that you could take off the head, this could be maybe possible. You might be able to pull this off, but I highly doubt it. Usually this isn't something you could do, and I don't like using the head to do the hand to do this, to just palm strike the head off. I just don't see that as actually happening. But someone may make the argument the inside of the axe head is bladed, and with their neck already partway into the blade, it would be a lot easier. So I'll give you the 2 on that and be nice. For efficiency, I'm going to give it a 1. If he had just knocked the head off and knocked the body over, it would have been fine. But instead, we stop, we stare at the head, we stare at the decapitated neck, we waste the time to take the arm and pat my own head head. It didn't make sense to me. I don't like that. So I gave that a 1 for efficiency. I think it takes too long. I think it's a waste of time, and it's silliness that doesn't really add anything. And then for cool factor, I gave it a 3. I do think this is funny, but I don't think it quite fits, at least the way I see Lawbringer. I see Lawbringer as the stoic, strong knight character with a lot of righteous zeal. I don't see him as this guy who's going to be goofy and make a corpse pat his own head. That feels like something more what I'd see from Shaman or from Berserker or from Raider or from Warmonger. I don't really see that from a Lawbringer, but still, it was funny enough that I gave it a 3. And before someone says, oh, well, what about the funny execution where nothing happens? You gave that a 0. I did, because nothing happened. Here, something happened. That's the difference. So that gives this execution a total of 10 out of 16, which is a 63%. And for those of you who are wondering about its effect on the overall grade, adding the 63% to Lawbringer's score changes his score to a 79% overall, which is down from 80%. So unfortunately, this grade did bring him down by 1 point. Still a good grade, but it did knock him down by 1 point. Next up is Paddleball from Conqueror. Jeez. Okay. All right, well, for Paddleball, I'm going to go ahead and say that is a lethality of 4. With the head of the flail buried that deep in the head, this person is most likely dead, so that's a 4. For realism, though, I'm going to give it a 1. Here's the thing. First of all, you're stabbing the handle deep into the person's stomach, and the fact that it would just stay there is a little unrealistic, but that's not the biggest problem I have. The other big problem is hitting the flail with your shield and guaranteeing it to hit that deep into the head as a result. Nah, I don't see that. I don't see that working very well. I see that as very questionable, so I gave that a 1 for realism. I don't think it would do it that easily. What do I think it might hit the head? Sure, I think it might hit the head, but more than likely what's going to happen is by hitting the flail like that, it's just going to knock the handle out of the hands of the warden and far away. Like, you're basically just knocking your weapon away, so I don't like that. Efficiency is a 2. I don't like that you handed over your weapon to the enemy. You do have a shield, which keeps this from being a 1, but by giving up your weapon, by handing it to the enemy, that's just ridiculous. I hate that they would do that. The only reason it doesn't give a 1 is because he does still have his shield, so Conqueror can still be defensive. But then for cool factor, I gave it a 3. While I'm not a big fan of the execution of this, get it, execution of the execution, I'm funny. While I'm not a big fan of that aspect, I do think that this is a unique way to kill. This is kind of neat, and it kind of fits the brutality that I would expect from a Conqueror. So I definitely do like that, so I gave it a 3 for cool factor. It's enjoyable, and even Lark, when I was talking to him about it, said that he found stuff to like about it, even though he wasn't a big fan of handing the dude the flail. So yeah, that gives this execution another 10 out of 16. Which is another 63%. And for those wondering how it impacts Conqueror's overall grade, this takes Conqueror's grade to a 74% overall, which is a point down from his 75% previously. So once again, we have a slight drop in the score from 75 to 74. Not a great start, guys, but hey, you know what? I still enjoy these executions fine, but the grades speak for it. Next up is Nice Catch from Berserker. All right, well, Nice Catch from Berserker. All right, so for Berserker, that is a lethality of 4. That is very deadly. We are planting the axe deep into the head. That is definitely going to kill. For realism, I have to give it a 2. There's one major problem with this. As soon as the axe was, well, first of all, Warden catching the axe out of midair, that's a little questionable. Not impossible, but a little questionable. The part that I didn't like was once the axe head is buried into the head, Warden should have dropped, okay? He wouldn't still be standing there. He would have just fallen to the ground. He wouldn't stay there and lift the axe up a little bit. He would have fallen over. So that's my biggest issue there. So I gave it a 2 for realism. For efficiency, I gave it a 1. And can you guess why? Berserker gave up her weapons. She threw both weapons away, and I hate when people do that. And again, people say it all the time, and I need to correct them. It's totally realistic for characters to throw their weapons. Sure, but not when you don't have to. If, like, for example, the Warden kind of proved here exactly my issue with throwing weapons. Warden actually caught the weapon. What if Berserker didn't throw the second axe? Now Warden has a weapon. Not a fan of that. So that gives us efficiency 1. For cool factor, though, it is a 4. This is a hilariously good execution. It fits what I would expect from Berserker. Just totally awesome. This is a good one. I really, really like this one. So that's a 4 for cool factor, which gives this execution an 11 out of 16, which is a 69%. Giggity. I'm obligated to say that. But what y'all really care about is how does this impact Berserker's overall score? Well, this takes Berserker's score to a 76%, but that's not up or down. This is actually exactly the same as before. Berserker had a 76% beforehand. This is another 76. This is still 76%. So Berserker has maintained her average perfectly. Well done, Berserker. You've kept yourself in the ring. I would have liked to have seen it gone up a little bit, but hey, you know what? At least she's maintaining her grade average instead of dropping it. Next up is Orochi with Tooth Fairy. All right, let's see that from the other perspective. Okay. All right, so for this one, let's talk briefly about what we're seeing. First of all, the head is coming off, so lethality is obviously going to be a 4. This is definitely deadly. For realism, I'm going to give it a 2. Yeah, I don't think you could take off the head like this. This is very poor. Like, here's the thing. Katanas can take off the head. That's not in question. But putting the katana that close to the head and not giving it enough downward force or velocity to take off that, I don't see that working. Now, some have pointed out that, Orochi's using their forearm to push the sword through the head. I know, but I still don't think that would generate enough force to take off the head. So I gave it a realism of 2 for this. The only realistic thing about it is I like the fact that a tooth comes flying out. That's kind of funny. That's the first time we've seen something like that. That's kind of funny. For efficiency, though, I gave it a 4. This is very fast. This is very well done. I do think that this is a very effective, fast execution to get the job done, and then you can move on very quickly. So I like that. And then for cool factor, I gave it a 3. I think that the forearm strike here is a little questionable, and that's why it gets a 3 instead of a 4. But overall, I do like the tooth being knocked out. I do think it's very solid. It's enjoyable. It fits what I'd expect from an Orochi, so that gives it a 3 for cool, which gives this execution a grade of 13 out of 16. Now, the obvious question, what does that say for Orochi's execution? Well, with the 81% added to the original grade, that gives Orochi an execution grade of 73%, which is up from 72%. Orochi gained a point. So there you go. Orochi's pushing his way back up into the ringer, gaining a point, moving up there to catch up with some of the others. Good job, Orochi. Proud of you. I hope that in your next execution you can go even higher than that. So I'm very excited to see where you go, Orochi. Great job. Now that takes care of all the new grades for the executions graded, but now we've got to go into talking about like the new executions that we can't grade. This is Nobushi's execution Fusoku. We have already graded Fusoku and added it to Nobushi's grade, so there's no need to regrade it, but I still wanted to talk about this execution because it is a new Hero Fest execution. And despite the grade, I want to say I do like this execution. It's stylish, it's got flair, it's fast. I do like it. I just have some issues with the believability of it, like the way that she can just snap her Naginata right down to where it needs to be without somehow clipping the warden's hip off. And also taking off the head was a little too easy for what she was doing. So all that did bother me. But in terms of style, I can appreciate the execution. It looks really cool and I do enjoy it. Plus, I do kind of like the fact that Nobushi goes back into her guard stance afterwards, which is good. I like that. So this was an enjoyable execution for me. I enjoyed looking at it. I enjoyed grading it. So I do like it. And I know some people have issues with it, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. And a lot of people were telling me that I was way too biased with Nobushi's executions. I really tried not to be. I talked with Lark. I talked with some of my friends who also play the game who aren't as big of fans of Nobushi. And they tried to keep me honest. So I don't think I was too biased in the Nobushi executions graded. But even Lark, who isn't a big Nobushi fan, said that he liked this execution despite how unbelievable it could be. So yeah, we both enjoyed it. This was a good execution in our opinion. We liked it a lot. And last but not least is Pirates Hold Still. Let's look at that from the other perspective because that's probably the best way to look at it. Nice. I love it. Okay. So we have not gotten to Pirate in the executions graded yet. We will soon, but we haven't gotten there yet. So looking at this already, I'm not going to grade it right now. I want to save that for when we actually do the video, but I'll go ahead and say this. Realism is going to take a hit. And people have been asking me this for a while. They've been asking me this ever since we started looking at Pirates executions. Will we consider the flintlock pistol when we go through executions, realism and stuff? Because we know that a flintlock could not fire twice without reloading. So what are we going to do there? Unfortunately for Pirate, we will be taking that into account with realism because with realism, we're not using fantasy elements. We're talking about what is real and what is not, what could be done IRL and what could not be done IRL. And a flintlock pistol cannot be fired twice in a row without a reload. So unfortunately, that will take a hit in realism. But everything else, I really do like. I think that this is cool. I think that the execution looks solid. It's probably one of Pirate's best, if I'm being honest. I love the setup. I love the whole... The only thing I wish would happen is when looking at it from this perspective, I wish Pirate's eyes would turn to look at the victim. Although at the same time, you could argue that's kind of a cool point too, because they're not even looking at the person they're killing, just like, you're not worth it. So I do like that. There's something very solid about this. There's something very solid about this execution, and I do love it. I know that Pirate gets a lot of crap, but I do enjoy Pirate. I think there's a lot to like about Pirate. I just feel like people give her a bad rep because, for one thing, she came out way too strong when she first released. She didn't have a whole lot of good cosmetics to her, and unfortunately, she's been nerfed into the ground to the point that she's almost useless in game, at least from my perspective. But then again, I'm pretty bad at the game in general, so it's hard to say. But the execution here is really solid. I enjoy it. I can't wait to get to her graded video. It probably won't be a great grade. She might be on the lower end of things, but I'll still enjoy doing it, and I just enjoy looking over these executions with people. Well, that about wraps everything up, guys. This was a lot of fun. These are some good Hero Fest executions. I know that a few of them were on the lower end in terms of average, but I want to say this. all of them, even the ones that I had issues with, like Conquerors, I enjoyed. It really is cool the way they're doing this. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I do miss when they used to release new executions for every hero every season. I do miss that, but I understand the constraints. I understand that it's a matter of budget, making sure you have the money to be able to release executions. It's a matter of time. They need to put the proper amount of time into doing all this. I get it. I understand why they're having to hold off, but I think the idea of doing Hero Fest where you release one execution with each Hero Fest is kind of a neat idea. I like that. It gives me something to look forward to and something to be excited about. A lot of these executions are really cool. I like the ones that I like the one that I see for Pirate. Can't wait to grade it. Nobushi's, you already know my thoughts on it. And the Orochi, Berserker, Conqueror, and Lawbringer ones, all were really good. I just got to be consistent with my grading. So that's why some of them didn't help their scores overall. But as a reminder for those who don't remember, Lawbringer's score is now a 79%, down from 80. Conqueror's is now a 74%, down from 75. Berserker's is now a 76%, which was the same as it was. And Orochi's execution grade is a 73%, which is up from 72. We've already graded Nobushi's, and we need to get to grading Pirates. So I really hope you enjoyed this Hero Fest execution overview. Really had a good time doing it. Thank you guys so much for watching this channel and for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.